Hey man, can you hear me?
Hey, yep, I can hear you clear. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Good, dude. Thanks for taking some time with me today, man. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, dude. Thank you.
Cool, cool, man.
Where are you located?
Now we're in Kalamazoo.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, our station's celebrating the 35th birthday this year. This is upcoming year. So
I think one of my favorite artists, oh God, now I can't think of his name. Bob Seger, he had a Kalamazoo song, didn't he?
well, there's Catman.
Cat
He may have
Catman dude.
right, but he may have mentioned Kalamazoo at some point. I know he's played here a bunch of times. So
Oh yeah,
but
he was from Michigan originally, yeah.
yeah, I think you know what? I think it's the I want to say it's the Metal Meltdown album that you guys put out when you were going on that tour in the late 90s. If I'm not mistaken, Kalamazoo's marquee at the Kalamazoo State Theater is inside the cover art. It was either the Metal Meltdown and there was another CD my buddy Ramon showed me, and it said 107.7 WRKR presents Judas Priest.
Wow.
Like that is so friggin' sweet. So yeah, man, I'm excited. This tour, the 50 heavy metal years. I mean, this is something we've been looking forward to for a long time. I know you guys with Queensryche this time around. Congratulations on Firepower too. That's huge, man. I'm so happy for you guys.
Thank
And
you very much. Thank you.
really, it's cool to me because Priest is a band that I discovered a little over 20 years ago, and to see the evolution of the band and where it is now, you really get that sense. A lot of musicians will say, this is the strongest we've ever been, but you really get that feeling with Judas Priest. You still hear it in the music you guys are making and the attitudes of all the guys in the band too.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you for recognizing.
Totally, man. Yeah, we're 2 weeks away from the start of the tour. I think I speak for everybody when I say not only thank you to you, but Priest as well. Not only continuing to write, perform, but also not forgetting about cities like Kalamazoo. It's something that I've just kind of picked up on ever since I moved out here 5 years ago, and
Mhm.
it's understandable too. It's hard, way back in the day, bands used to hit up 7, 8 different markets in a state. Touring so much different now, but the fact that Priest is still coming back to Kalamazoo, that's super important for the people out here, and I'm already picking up on it because I've been talking with a lot of people when we've been out on the street. So
Cool.
yeah, I'm curious what some of your favorite memories from Michigan shows that you guys have played here. You guys have played all over the state.
Yeah, obviously Detroit is always a frequent stop that all the bands hit.
Right.
But to be honest, the Midwest in general for Judas Priest has always been a really strong part of the country, as is or has been the Northeast.
Right.
Ever since I joined the band, it's a weird dynamic. I remember actually before I joined the band when Priest would they were pretty much the biggest metal band, and but this was before Metallica and all that stuff. But
Right.
they played Madison Square Garden and they played the Union Arena and Uniondale, New York, I believe it was, and
Right.
also the Meadowlands. So they would do a whole bunch of big dates up in the Northeast, and then I joined the band and it all went down. No, I'm just kidding, but 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 we still, even on the Painkiller tour, which was my first tour, we played a lot in the Northeast.
Yeah.
And anyway, so the Midwest, which I consider Michigan, um, has always been a strong suit. I guess we haven't been to Kalamazoo maybe since you said the Metal Meltdown tour or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
It may have been. I think it may have been a little after that. I feel like it was. Feel like it may have been the tour where you guys had just brought out Angel of Retribution,
Yeah.
and it was either at the State Theater or Wings Event Center. But I know it's been a while. But I mean, when the news dropped when we found out about this, I was like, this is freaking massive because I actually grew up on the east side of the state. So
Oh, cool.
I grew up in Rochester Hills, a little north of Detroit. So, and I know we're hearing a lot about the new album too. I know you guys are getting pretty close to that. How's the process been for this new one?
It's been comfortably relaxed. In other words, it's taken us a minute because we were obviously did a lot of touring earlier in 2022, and then this past summer of 22 we were doing all the festivals in Europe, which was great because we had missed those the past 2 summers for obvious reasons.
Right.
So we've been working a lot in 2022 playing live, and obviously we're getting ready to do it again your neck of the woods. But so we were recording in between those live tours, we'll call them. So, but that's a good thing because I've done it both ways. I've done it where you have to kind of cram and do everything in 6 or 7 weeks, and that's okay sometimes, but then it's nice to be able to have a reprieve and just relax your ears and your head and just come back to things after a couple of months of playing live. So it's been a comfortable pace,
Cool.
to answer your question. And I think it's going to show in the end result. So hopefully we can have it out, I would suspect, by middle of next year, late spring, early summer. I would think that's a realistic
Sweet.
release time period. But because most of it's done, really.
Yeah.
But having said that, there's an old saying: an album's never finished, because you always have things you wish you could spend more time on and go back and redo this and redo that. But in all seriousness, yeah, it's very well near the end.
Cool. That's good. I know, with the news that happened earlier with Richie, and I know he just had another surgery as well. How is he feeling?
He's a trooper, man. He's getting motivated and getting geared up and doing therapy, physical therapy and stuff to get his stamina back. But yeah, man, the guy's been through a lot. It's made us all really reflect and just take a step back. And that's why I said a second ago about, we've taken a comfortable pace at recording and finishing this new record, because what happened to Richie could happen to anyone, and he had no precursors or no premonition or any warning signs that this would happen. And so the point is that every day is a gift, and life is short, so you got to relax, take it easy, and enjoy life. So yeah. With something like that happening, obviously it's got to be scary, but I know it's something about it also, at the same time, while you're reflecting, do you think that maybe you guys always bring it on the albums anyways, but you think this has kind of invigorated you guys even more, seeing how he's rallied through all of the surgeries and recovery to even bring it even harder on the new album? Yeah, and it's I'm gonna go light here for a second, but it's also made it so you can't complain about anything on tour anymore. Right. If you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you got a backache, and you see everybody, the next morning you're about to check out of the hotel and get on a bus or a plane, you feel like going, oh man, oh no, I'm good. I had a great night's sleep. Right. If you have a toothache, because what he's gone through, and Rob's had some health issues recently. So Glenn, obviously, and yeah, man, like I said, you take each day with a good memory and a happy response to what's happening. No doubt. I want to again, thank you for being here, Scott Travis from Judas Priest, and I want to get your feedback on this. It was just a thought I had the other day when I was telling my buddy we were going to be talking. You came in on an album, personally it's one of my favorites still, Painkiller. Seems to, like, when major bands make like a major lineup change, the sounds evolve a little bit. We heard it a little bit on Painkiller. Obviously Priest has always maintained a certain sound, but we heard it on Painkiller. You hear it on albums like Peace of Mind from Maiden when Nico came in, obviously. When Richie came in with Redeemer of Souls. When you came in with Painkiller, how much of that sound in particular on that album was kind of centered around your playing? Well, it's hard for me to say what was centered around my playing, but the whole process really was different, even for the band. In other words, we employed Chris Tangarides, which the band had never used him before. So, and that's, when you have a different producer, that's going to have a big influence, positive or negative. It's going to have a big influence. A new drummer, that's going to have a big influence, especially on heavy metal music. We recorded it in a place they had never recorded before, so they didn't go back to a studio they had used prior. So that was new. So a lot of things were new. And even the band personally, those 4 guys, I think they were kind of spreading their wings and spreading out, and they had been album tour for a long time, and they certainly were well off financially, and I think they started living in Spain right before we got together, and so everything was different for everybody, really, especially me, of course, having never been out of the country and certainly not being in a internationally popular heavy metal band. So everything was new, everything was a little bit different. And so I like to think that everything went into the pot, so to speak, and came out with a new sound and a new feel for Judas Priest.
Yeah, absolutely. Staying on the topic of Painkiller too, with the 50 Heavy Metal Years tour, this is going to be well, you guys have debuted the live debut of One Shot at Glory, which I thought was super interesting because, I mean, going back years, I was like, man, I'd love to see that track live. So whose idea was that to throw that into the set list?
I'm not, I mean,
Just kind of come up
I
naturally.
don't remember. So I'll say it was mine.
Nice job.
Well, no, truthfully, we always try and pull one or two songs off previous albums.
Mm.
And as you can imagine, when you have so many studio albums, it gets more and more difficult
Right.
each tour because you naturally have to do, or you want to do, I shouldn't say have to, but you want to do the quote unquote standards. You know, people are going to be disappointed if you don't do Another Thing Coming and or Breaking the Law and or Living After Midnight and things like that. And really,
Right.
another Judas Priest is unique in the sense that we have what I call standards, but they weren't radio standards. For instance, Victim of Changes. I mean, Victim of Changes, I think, has been played by Priest, I want to say probably every tour since maybe the late 70s, early 80s. I know when I saw the band on the Screaming for Vengeance tour, they were doing that song live. So I think we've done it every time I've been out. But anyway, so those Priest has what I call the radio hits that you have to do, and then we have the other essential Judas Priest classic songs. Metal Gods is another one that we do frequently. But on this new leg, if you remember, we did just tour America before the summer. So I think we're in America in late spring.
Yeah.
Late winter, early spring. And so on this leg that we're about to embark on, we want to change it up again. So whatever set list we did in the spring, we probably won't do the exact same one in the fall here.
Right, because I'm hearing stuff. Well, I know we're coming up on somewhat of an anniversary of Screaming for Vengeance. I heard there might be a little bit extra love shown for that album too. But you're right, like that's got to be the tough part too. Is you're like, okay, guys, we've got like 16, 17 albums here. We got to dwindle this down to an hour and a half, hour 45. That's got to be difficult. But yeah, I think I feel like Priest has always done a really good job of giving not only the fans what they want, but also at the same time, you know, giving back to themselves. I mean, you guys have written this music. You guys have been together now. You've been a part of the band for over 30 years. And it's, there's got to be a lot of favorites, you know, personally for you as well. So it's, yeah, it's just got to feel good being up there, man. And you guys still delivering that energy. And much so that, you know, you guys now finally are getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which congrats. It's pretty incredible, man. That's cool. Gotta be awesome. So
yeah,
well, I know it's, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know this has been, it was kind of like an up and down thing because they had the voting and everything, but you know, I think Judas Priest, I think the fans pretty much had spoken for the band and saying like, listen, these guys have proven everything they've got to prove. What does it mean for you to get into the Hall of Fame?
Well, naturally, it's a super honor. I mean, I always felt that Priest would get in eventually, only because you can't have something called a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and not have Judas Priest in it. So you're right. There were a couple of events prior to this year where we were nominated. I think that's the right word. I'm not sure, but where we were in the running. And as you said, we didn't quite get in, but I was always confident. I mean, Priest will get in eventually, and same thing with some of the bands that aren't in yet. They will get in. But yeah, it's a super honor, and I mean, there's not much else you can say about it, really. It's pretty cool.
Are you guys playing?
Yeah, we are. We're going to do. You know, again, they give you a limited amount of time because there's obviously lots of artists that are going to be performing.
Right.
So they gave us a set amount of time to perform, and we decided we're going to try and work in like a medley and do some of the Priest classics and put them all into a medley, which we've never done before. So it should be interesting.
That's awesome. Now, you still drumming technically for Thin Lizzy?
No, I mean, interesting question, because I did an interview the other day and the guy was reading off, you know, the bands I had been a part of. It wasn't that many. It was like Racer X, Judas Priest, and he mentioned Thin Lizzy. And I said, well, you know, I want to correct and say I'm not technically, I was never technically in Thin Lizzy. This is just me saying this
Right.
because I feel like you have to record with a band to kind of be in the band. But
Makes
I
sense.
was definitely honored to play some dates with them. And if they go out again, Thin Lizzy, and if they ask me to do it, that'd certainly be something cool to have happen.
Cool. I can't remember when it was. I saw you guys at Joe Louis Arena. When you were touring with Thin Lizzy, were you pulling double duty on that show?
No, no, no. That'd be pretty cool. It's funny you say that because that's always been one of my little, you know, faraway dreams. Like you're at a concert and the other band's drummer can't make it. Of course, it'd be helpful if you knew the songs.
Right.
And but yeah, that'd be a pretty cool gig to do.
That's funny.
Both of them.
Yeah, you've been doing so many tours. Obviously, you've been full-time musician, even, going into Priest. I want to know, like, which bands you had the most fun with on the road, not necessarily partying or anything, but just in terms of the shows themselves.
Well, we always tend to be, I say we, mean, I think human beings, we always tend to be nostalgic. So looking back, when we toured with Pantera, and it was the Painkiller tour, but it was the European version. So it started in January of 1991, and it was Pantera and oh goodness gracious, now they're going to hate me for not remembering the name. I'll think of it in a second, but oddly enough, Pantera was the opener. It was three bands, and Priest was the headliner, but Pantera was the first band, and it was on their Cowboys from Hell tour. So
Right.
I'd have to say going way back to them, because I know Rob really loved the album, loved the band. I did as well. I had a copy of the album and just thought, wow, who are these guys? Where are they from?
Right.
Everything, the sound and the drum sound and the songs and Dimebags, just crunchy as hell guitar tone and the riffs and everything. But anyways, Rob and I were big fans of the band, but we had no idea they were going to turn out to be the literal legends they became.
Yeah.
So I'll use that as my answer for now.
That's awesome. I know we caught you at Freedom Hill a couple of years ago. We had their local band Pop Evil who were supporting you guys as well. I thought that was kind of a cool combination. It was, and my partner on the morning show, Meatball, he's known those guys for a while too. We had them in the studio a couple of months back. They came and played up in their neck of the woods, Grand Rapids. And there's always seems to be a good combo with you guys. I think regardless, and this is going to be a fun show, seeing Queensryche and Priest together at the Wings Event Center, obviously, with this tour, it's just going to be really special. We're 3 weeks away. We're excited to have Judas Priest back in Kalamazoo. And seriously, Scott, thanks again for taking the time with me today. And it was a serious honor talking to you, man. I mean, Priest has been personally a huge inspiration for me. Really just kind of pulled me from the depths sometimes. So I appreciate everything that you guys have given to this industry and to us as the fans as well.
Wow. Thank you very much, man. Glad to be some help. Real quick, I just remembered the band was Annihilator.
Annihilator. Okay.
They were the second band. And also, if I can add an addendum to your question, when we toured with Ronnie Dio and he had the band Heaven and Hell,
right,
with Vinny Appice and I forgot who the guitar player and the bass player was, but the guitar player, yeah. Anyways, when we toured with them, and I don't remember, 2000 something, that was a real honor because obviously, Dio is, he's definitely on the rock and roll, the heavy metal legend singer.
No doubt.
Mount Rushmore is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a great show. We're geared up for this one, man. We're ready. So can't wait to see you guys there. And yeah, definitely looking forward to it. So
all right, man. Thank you. See you soon.
Totally, man. Take care.
Later.
Thanks.